I need thee. Oh, bless me now, gentle Savior. I come to thee.
If you ain't never been through nothing, that song don't mean nothing to you. But if you know like I know what God has done, you know that every time you get into a trouble, you can't call your mama. You can't call your daddy, but you can look up and say, Lord, I need you. In spite of everything that I've done, Lord, I still need you. There's nothing anybody else can do for me, nothing anybody else can say, but Lord, I need. You gotta excuse me for a moment. I just had a flashback of where I came from. I had to look back and say, if it wasn't for you. I'm gonna try to get to this thing, y'all. Excuse me. Genesis, chapter 35. Terry, I do appreciate you singing that song, boy. Woo. If y'all ain't awake now, I don't know what to do. Genesis chapter 35. If you have it, say amen. If you don't have it, look up. So, Genesis chapter 35, starting at verse 19, and it reads this way. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set a pillar, and to this day marks Rachel's tomb. Here's what I want y'all to focus on today. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. If you don't mind for a brief moment, I want to talk to you and tell you it's time to move past your pillar. Now, this is going to be a unique type of message, and it's going to be one that y'all aren't used to coming from me. But in the end of it, I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do and sit down. And if you know me, I will sit down without any warning or hesitation. So the fact that I gave y'all a warning now, just be expecting. But there's some things I want to point out to you about this. But I want you to keep in your mind verse 21. Josh, can you put that back up there for me? Oh, wait, never mind. Verse 21. Israel moved on. First thing you got to know is you have to mark your pillar. You got to understand that you can't mark your pillar without understanding what's holding you back. Now, some of y'all will be sedity and won't tell me, say, oh, well, you can't name my pillar. It's not my job, but God is telling you right now what your pillar is. And if I don't name it in these things, that don't mean you ain't got one. That just means you hiding it. If your relationships, some of y'all have some bad relationships that y'all still holding on. Some of y'all have drug issues. Some of y'all have depression. Whatever your pillar is, you got to realize it's holding you back from what God has promised you. Here's the thing. Rachel died. Now, if you recall, Jacob married Rachel, but he was tricked the first time. You do know that Rachel and Jacob loved Rachel more. If you can't tell by now, go a little bit further, you do realize Rachel is the mother of Joseph, which was his favorite son. Now, let me get back to you do realize he had watched his wife give birth to her last son and go through ounces and ounces of pain and die. You got to understand one thing. God will remove people from your life, and it's not necessarily to cause you pain, but it's to push you. You do know that God will remove stuff to push you, not to have you sit there, but push you. What he's doing is preparing you because he has a promise for you that you can't get to if you're still stuck at the pillar. So you have to realize that you have to get past the pillar in order to get to God's promise. Let me give y'all a little bit of an example. Taylor, how old are you? 8 years ago, way before y'all laughing, but let me tell you. I was in a relationship that I did not notice. I said I was in a relationship. The other person wasn't. I thought that this was going to be my moment. And yes, as you can see, I produced a child from that relationship. So I thought, okay, she's having my baby. We're going to stay together. And go ahead and enjoy it. And if some of y'all know when me and Taylor first got here, let's be real, it was hell for me. So I'm painting this picture for y'all to see why I'm so protective of her. I'm pointing this out to you. 8 years ago, I was in a relationship, and I thought that this was the girl of my dreams. Y'all can go ahead and laugh. Go ahead it's funny. I thought it was a girl of my dreams. So I did everything I could to keep her. Here's where I find out. I thought she was my Rachel. Let me help some of y'all out. Some of y'all are holding on to something that wasn't meant for you to keep. You're trying to make a relationship work. You're trying to make a job situation work out into your favor. And God is telling you that that's not what I got for you. But I'm going to let you go ahead and operate and go ahead and think what you're doing is in my will. But I'm just going to let you do it just so you can understand it. So I went on. I tried to make it work. After she took Taylor, moved to New York, I still was like, yeah, we can do this. After she came back, took her to Nebraska, I still was like, we got this. We got this. It wasn't until during that time in Nebraska, I met somebody. Before y'all get ahead of myself, no, it wasn't who y'all think it is now. Just listen to the story. I met a pastor's wife who was talking to me, and she was giving me encouraging words. Then turned around and said, I got somebody for you to meet. Time out, sister. I ain't found out who I am yet, so me jumping into another relationship ain't it until she showed me a picture. Y'all laughing, but this picture showed her. She had this glow about her. And I was like, ooh. Get to touching. Wait a minute, is this? Ooh. So we go on, and what I'm telling y'all is I set my pillar, but I didn't move from it. I did all this, and I met this beautiful young lady named Amanda. She didn't understand where I was coming from, and even as me and Amanda dated, I still could not let go of my pillar. Amanda knew this, and for y'all know my wife is very, very stubborn and demanding. And yes, I'm saying this all on live or recorded so that way she can hear me. And what she did was, in her stubbornness, she knew that God has placed something in me, and her job was to bring it out. And all the arguments, all the fussing and fighting we had, she never once left my side. Reason I can relate to this because she had a child, Brooklyn. If y'all know the story, that it was a matter of life and death. I feel like I can relate to Jacob because I know what it's like to watch your wife go through ounces and ounces of pain, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to sit there and watch. The only difference between me and Jacob is Jacob had to bury his wife. I was blessed to be able to walk out with my wife. But that I jumped ahead of the story. Let me get back. Here's what I want you to understand. I had to set up my pillar to understand, hey, this is not what you have to do. This is not who you're supposed to be with. Let me make a point. Taylor's mother is not who I was supposed to be with. You got to understand, you can do things in your life, but if it's not what God has planned for you, it will never, ever, 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 ever work out. So let's fast forward. This was 8 years ago. We jumped into 3 years, and y'all do know me and Manny have been married going on 4 years, 5 years. If I get it wrong, y'all know I'm bad with numbers. But here's the thing. If I didn't push past my pillar, how could I get to what God has promised me? Let me share something with y'all. In Genesis chapter 35, verse 11, let me go back. Verse 9. He tells, in that area, he tells Jacob, I am God Almighty. Paraphrasing, if I get the scripture wrong, don't beat me up. But he lets Jacob know, I'm changing your name to Israel. Nations will be born from your lineage. Y'all should have been happy right there, because if Jacob would have stayed at that pillar, y'all wouldn't be here right now. Y'all should be excited, because if Jacob stayed at that pillar, let me reverse it. If Sean stayed at that pillar, there would be no Brooklyn. There would be no Manny Ross. She would be a Manny, but she wouldn't be a Ross. You got to understand that if God has a promise for you, you have to set up your pillar and move on. And what I found out is, I found out the translation of Manny's name. We was driving down the street and we was talking to little furniture shopping, and she was annoyed, and I did it, so well. And she said the translation of a Manny is highest wish from God. Y'all got to excuse me because I got to put a smile on my face, because y'all don't know the hell I went through dating, making mistakes, having babies to get my highest wish from God. So let me point something out to you. In order for you to get to where you need to go, you have to push past your pillar. It doesn't mean it's not going to cause you any pain, because trust me, I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts. I thought, you know what? If I'm not going to have my daughter with me, I'm going to lose everything. But God said, come on. I got something for you, but you got to push past your pillar. I need to talk to somebody that's stuck at a pillar right now, that think that all hell is breaking loose and you can't do nothing about it. I just need you to take that one step and just keep on moving, and God is going to keep walking with you. But you can't have God walk with you if you first won't walk. What I'm saying is immaturity stayed at the pillar, but growth moved on. You got to move on in order to grow, to get where God has placed you. I need you to know that if you don't move, you can't grow. So if that means you have to go back and apologize, even if you're not wrong, go back and apologize, leave that pillar right where it is, and do this.